Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has criticized the decision by some northern state government to close all schools during Ramadan, calling it counterproductive. CAN expressed concerns over the disruption of education in a region already struggling with high rates of out-of-school children. The association argued that the closures affecting all school levels would threaten academic progress and deepen the existing education crisis, with out-of-school rates averaging 44%. CAN also lamented the lack of consultation with stakeholders before the decision was made. In a related development, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the governors of Bauchi, Katsina, Kano, and Kebbi states, demanding the reversal of the school closure. NANS called the policy a violation of students' rights and threatened mass protest and legal action if the decision was not rescinded.
Well, joining us now is Dr. Sam Amadi. He is the director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you, and good afternoon, or good evening.
Now, Dr. Amadi, is there any justification for closing schools during Ramadan, especially when you consider that such practices are not observed in Muslim-majority countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates?
I've struggled to find justification. Clear to me that there's none. Again, let's sit back. I'll start by saying, look, we've had several Ramadan fasts, and they're never an issue. Interestingly, Nigeria seemed to have this period where when the Pentecostals finish their fasting, some 100 days, some 30 days, they will have the Ramadan. They will have the Orthodox Christians do the Easter fast, committing the Good Friday and all that. So it's like a blessed period for Nigeria. And it goes with a lot of harmony. Some of us who probably are not Muslims partake in breaking the fast, joyful. So there's really no dispute at all around this. For many years we've done this. And the Nigerian government has been fairly equitable in according holidays to religious groups, primarily Christians, Muslims, for various birth of Prophet Muhammad, birth of Jesus Christ, blah, blah, blah. Some of us may argue that perhaps there are too many holidays, but it has been equitable. It has never been an issue. So I think this is a very unusual and reckless, irresponsible, in my view, actions by these governors for three reasons. One, this action, the closing down of schools, has nothing to contribute to the quality of the religious experience itself. So this is not a case of people disputing over the fast, the theological basis for it. This is a case of something that is extraneous, unrelated. So, for example, fast has started. People are fasting, they break their fast, they go to mosque, they pray, they break in the house. So just no issue. So it's really unfathomable. And this just plays to perhaps extreme populism, sometimes political leaders. And again, this is not driven by the Supreme Council of Islamic Society. It's not a case of some imams, religious leaders in the Muslim faith coming together to agitate for 5 weeks. So it's basically from nowhere, state governors. And so that's a mistake. So this is not, CAN is not challenging religious institution, the Islamic religious institution. They are challenging a secular authority that wades into a religious event, namely fasting, and turn it into a public policy to affect rights of third-party citizens. So, for example, in those states, there's no Muslim or Christian state in Nigeria. That's constitutional, number one. No president, no governor in Nigeria, by the authority of Section 10, is a Muslim Christian governor, irrespective of your own personal faith. And I think that Nigerian politicians are very good at contriving conflicts in the name of religion. This is
all right, Dr. Sam Amadi. We know that there's still so much to talk about, but we have to really be conscious of time. And so I'd like to know why CAN is the prominent voice, especially in this agitation. Where is the Ministry of Education? Especially when you look at the curriculum released by the National Ministry of Education, it's not in tandem with what the State Ministry of Education has released, especially looking at this 5-week break because of Ramadan.
Well, a good question asked. I mean, shouldn't have been the one shouting, really. Minister of Education, because again, this is also usurpation of federal power in terms of some of this curriculum. Again, there are private schools that are going to be affected. There are also religious schools that are going to be affected. So CAN has 2 points of view. One would be the issue about freedom of religion, because if the freedom of religion, what we call the non-establishment clause and the free exercise clause, which the U.S. Supreme Court has talked about several times, it means that first, that no action of government should be able to promote one religion or against the other. So from a CAN perspective, to shut down their education facility for 5 weeks because you want to provide support for a religious fast or event is a violation of Section 10 and Section 38 of the Constitution. Second perspective, CAN. So CAN comes first from the fact that arguably, the members of CAN, their rights will be infringed by virtue of they run schools, in those states. Secondly, the fact that by using the state resources to mingle with religious affairs, you have violated the Constitution. And I think, thirdly, they can argue that as part of, a respectable platform, is their responsibility to advocate. So if you go to court, they're going to go have local standard. But more important, I think what the Federal Minister of Education, even Mr. President himself, probably has the power and responsibility to intervene. And this is the point here. This has nothing to do to support, and that's how we started with the Sharia Islamic court in Zamfara. A governor, to play a political wage against PDP then, threw up this from nowhere. It led to so much crisis. So this one is basically, in Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, the biggest Muslim, nobody has ever done this. 5 weeks of no schooling. Now people ask, okay, what is special about school that contradicts fasting or undermines fasting? Not shops, not businesses, not offices, just schools. And so it's in a region where a major challenge, 10 points above national average in terms of school enrollment, out-of-school children, poor performance in every indicator of education. That is the least thing you would think about. If this had value for the fast itself, it would have made sense. Totally senseless and provoking.
Dr. Amadi, you have asked, really vital questions that we wish that the state governors could give us answers to as to how they came about this decision. We are out of time, so we have to end the interview here. Director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, Dr. Sam Amadi, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.